Coming up on this episode of One on One Sports.
We've got so many college sports controversies to cover, we don't know where to start, so we'll kick things off on a high note with a reaction to the end of March Madness.
Plus, our baseball experts have their predictions set for what to expect over the next 6 months in Major League Baseball.
All that and more, and it all starts right now!
Hello and welcome to this episode of One on One Sports. I'm Joe DiRienzo.
And I'm Kurt Leston. We have a great show for you today, so let's kick things off with the starting five.
Monday night's NCAA championship game was an epic clash between Louisville and Michigan. The game was played at a high tempo with reckless abandon, and the Cardinals gleamed in their shining moment, taking home the program's third national title and making Rick Pitino the lone coach in college basketball history to win a championship with two different schools. But Kurt, was Louisville the best team in college hoops this year?
They were a very good team. They were certainly a good team, one seed going in, certainly not a team to sneeze at. Were they the best? No. I think Indiana was the best. I think Indiana had more talent. I think they had better pieces in place, but I think the leadership is what really got Louisville here.
Yeah, I think Louisville definitely has to be up there because they were the #1 overall seed. Indiana was the talk of everything. Louisville was the perfect storm in this tournament, though. Second most turnovers forced in the nation. You got Rick Pitino as your head coach, Peyton Siva, the head coach on the court, really, and then the storyline. When you get the Kevin Ware story, that getting behind you, you're not going to lose.
And certainly that kind of momentum and that kind of, let's win it for this guy, that's huge. In the
Moment of the tournament, by the way, lowering the nets so that Kevin Ware can cut the net himself.
That is what's great about college athletics.
Absolutely.
This, not so great. Tim Pernetti is now Rutgers' former athletic director after he resigned from his position. Why did he resign? Well, the public pressure coming from his decision in December to only suspend former head coach Mike Reis for 3 games after witnessing a tape of Rice pushing his players, throwing basketballs at his players, and swearing at his players was probably a little too uncomfortable. Joe, listen, we know the AD's out, we know the head coach is out. Does anyone else need to lose their job here?
Now, I know people are saying that the president has to go for this, but I don't think so. I think this was the AD's job to realize that he hired a coach that was a crazy person, not a good coach. His coaching antics that didn't help his players at all, didn't help the performance on the court, so the AD had to fire his coach. You don't have to tell the president every time you're going to fire your coach.
I got to disagree with you. I agree with you that it was a crazy person.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's hard not to.
Yes, I agree with you it was a crazy person. But listen, for me, Joe, who runs the NCAA? The presidents of the universities.
No, I understand.
They're now more held accountable for what happens with their athletic program than ever before. This happened for like over 2 years. You can't let a coach abuse players for over 2 years and not get the axe.
No, you're right, but I just don't think ADs are going to be bringing up coaching decisions to their presidents all the time.
No, but they still have to be aware of it. They have to know what's going on, whether the AD tells them or not. They have to know.
I think they have to rely on the AD, which is why I think the AD was the top guy that had to go.
But the presidents cannot simply play that I didn't know. That's not an option here.
Former Baltimore Ravens linebacker Brendan Ayanbadejo, an active, prominent supporter of marriage equality, stated earlier this week that not just one player, but as many as 4 could be ready to come out in the near future. Kurt, how much of a difference would this make if not just one guy, but a group of guys came out at the same time?
Joe, this makes all the difference in the world.
I think you're right.
This makes all the difference in the world. Because you know what, I mean, any situation, if you're just the lone wolf, as you like to maybe call it, going out by your, oh my goodness, that is so hard. But when you have people behind you, supporting you, and in the same boat as you, it's power in numbers.
Absolutely. Power in numbers is the perfect way to describe it. And I know it's not the same situation. Now, I'm not saying this at all.
Okay,
but Jackie Robinson had to go through breaking the color barrier alone. And we saw what that did to him. Not saying this is the same thing, but power in numbers is going to help these guys.
Yeah, I see exactly.
Especially considering the amount of controversy that's around it.
Yes, absolutely. And basically what they're doing is if they do come out, they're saying, hey, you know what, this is how we feel. This is how we live our lives. Deal with it. We're here.
Done.
And I love that. It's awesome. So we'll hope to see they do that.
Yeah.
For sure. The Auburn Tigers' 2010 National Championship was at risk once before, and as a result of investigations, not much has changed. The victory is at risk once again due to scandal. While the recently fired Gene Chizik was in command, the football program paid players, changed grades of academically ineligible players for the 2011 BCS title game, covered up players failing drug tests for synthetic marijuana, and committed several recruiting violations. Joe, clearly a lot was done wrong here. Was it worth it?
Okay, I understand that if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, Al Davis mentality. That's a lot of rules. That's all of the rules. You can't just break all of them. seriously here. Illegally getting players to come to your school. Then when they get there, let them do drugs, let them fail their classes but still play, and then don't let them leave because you're going to pay them even if they don't go to the NFL. That's everything. You can't just break every rule and expect not to get caught. So no, it wasn't worth it.
Yes, listen, they did break a lot of
Come on.
rules. The way you worded that was perfect. But yes, Joe, it was worth it. You know why it's worth it? Because college players and coaches understand while they're in college, the fact that they have a chance to win, and a lot of other schools are cheating at the same time, you do what you can to win at that point, because for the most part, you're not getting caught till after you leave.
Right. It's
so why
always
not do
after.
it?
You're right, it's always after. But there are also schools that don't get caught. If everybody's presuming that everybody cheats a little bit, this is cheating a lot of bit. This is not assuming that you're going to get away with it. Because if they got away with it, that would be the NCAA's fault entirely.
Did they go over the top?
Yeah.
Yes, I'd say they went over the top.
Okay, I'm glad you went
At the same time, was it worth it to win and have that moment in the spotlight? I think so.
They did win, so I'll have to give you that. But just, come on. Really? Really? Pac-12 Conference Coordinator of Officials Ed Rush resigned after his comments at the Pac-12 tournament were leaked. Rush told other officials that he was putting a technical foul bounty on Arizona head coach Sean Miller. Pac-12 Commissioner Larry Scott said this wasn't a fireable offense, but while Rush claims it was all just a joke, the other referees weren't so sure. Kurt, did Rush have to resign here, or these other refs can't take a joke?
Resign, get canned, be fired, be
Go.
sent packing, get kicked in the butt is
Go.
the way out.
Out.
Yes,
Out.
absolutely.
Goodbye.
Joe, listen, I don't care if this was intended to be a joke or not. You can't say that. That's something you can't say, because at the same time, if he was still in charge, every Pac-12 game I watch next year, I'm wondering
Everything.
what's happening here.
Hey,
Is
I wonder if
something
we
on
put
the
a bounty on this guy.
Absolutely.
And everything around the situation leads towards me thinking that Ed Rush was not joking. Why would you joke about a specific one coach in a conference that nobody else is at except you and other officials who can make technical foul calls? Doesn't make any sense. I'm just kidding. Might be the worst excuse in history.
But Joe, it's just a joke.
It's just a
It's
joke.
just a
It's
joke,
fine.
Joe. I can't lose my job for a joke, right?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You can.
That is all the time we have for this debate, but stay tuned, because when 101 returns, I will be joined by a few of our college basketball experts to wrap up the national championship game. Don't go anywhere.